G'day everyone, I'm AzureBlaze, and welcome to another My Thoughts on video. Recently, well, I say recently, it was like a month and a half ago, I guess that's fairly recently. Recently on the channel I finished playing the first Spyro game's remake as part of the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. And in this video, I wanted to discuss my final thoughts on it. First off, as always, I shall briefly discuss the music, as I otherwise never know where to slot it into the video, and I think it's great. It works extremely well, as it has such like a fantastical and bubbly feel to it. It's really fun to listen to. It fits perfectly with the theme of the game. Yeah, it's great. I really do like the music. Next up is the visuals, and this part is kind of mixed for me, at least on the Xbox Series X where I played it, and it's because the actual graphics and style are fantastic. Everything is highly contrasted and textured and fits with the theme perfectly throughout the entire game. It's amazing. All the models and character designs are detailed and extremely expressive. Everything is bouncy, lively, and perfectly animated. It is really fun to watch, and everything melds together amazingly. I am a massive fan of how this game looks, for the most part, if it wasn't in motion. Because the biggest problem is the frame rate and how the developers attempted to cover it up. There is such a massive amount of unnecessary motion blur. It's awful. I do not understand how this was allowed to be this way. I don't generally have any motion sickness problems with games. However, with this game I had to train myself to mainly watch the center of the screen at almost all times. Otherwise I found it actually fairly difficult to watch. If you turn off the motion blur, however, the frame rate looks very inconsistent and choppy, which I found looked even worse personally. I ended up going with the best of two worlds, the best of both worlds type thing. It's amazing that turning off the motion blur made it look worse, considering I'm running on a Series X. It would have been nice if the game was updated to take advantage of it, however it seems that's not the case. Considering it's now technically a first-party Microsoft game, yeah, it's kind of upsetting. I wish it was updated to run at 60, considering the Xbox Series should definitely be able to handle it. Oh well. Yeah, it's frustrating because the game looks amazing, however there's no perfect way to see it, at least on console. I'd imagine it's probably even worse on Switch. To be honest, I haven't played the Switch version. I haven't even looked at the Switch version. Anyway, moving on from that, at the very least, time to talk about the gameplay. This game has such fun gameplay. It is amazing how much the devs could get out of a character who has no hands or opposable thumbs, or can't pick up anything with his hands or anything like that. I think it's amazing. Spyro is super smooth to control. He can run, jump, charge, glide, breathe fire, and dodge roll. That last one I think was added to this first game in the remake. I don't think it was in the original. I'm not 100% sure. I actually haven't played the original. Each movement flows well into the next one, and everything is animated extremely well, which is great. This then translates over to the levels, which it has a large variety of different things to do in each one of them. Most stages incorporate different sections or enemy layouts that take advantage of the moveset. An example of this would be lining up enemies in a way that enables the player to charge through each one simultaneously without interruption if done correctly. Or there's even platforms laid out in a way that requires gliding between them, and using Spyro's full moveset, which is great. Some stages work to further enhance Spyro's moveset as well. They do this by either introducing a power-up, building an enhancement into the stage, or making the entire level the enhancement. And I'll explain that in a minute. The first one is the power-up though. This comes in the form of fairies placed throughout levels that Spyro's can go up to, and then they will give Spyro a way better flame breath, make it much more powerful. Generally only for a limited time, however, although there is this one time where you get it for the rest of the stage, and it's great. This enables Spyro to destroy heavily fortified doors and walls, extremely heavily armored enemies, and can destroy pretty much, I think, any chest in the game. This power-up is super neat. It makes the player feel super powered as they run through and destroy everything along their path throughout the game. It helps that the power-up looks really good. It gives Spyro an amazing look whilst using it. It gets this nice glow. I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the original. I don't even know how they would have... I mean, I'd imagine they would have been able to do something similar, however, not to this extent. I don't know, it looks really, really good. I really like it. Secondly is the integration of enhancements into the stages. And this comes in the form of dash arrows dotted around certain slopes in the game. These arrows increase Spyro's speed when charging by a large amount. which stops once the player either lets go of the charge button, or hits a wall, or something similar, or falls off an edge. Basically anything that'll stop you from running. And this allows the player to do a whole bunch of things by keeping Spyro's momentum, including like destroy fortified objects, enemies, and make way larger, longer jumps when leaping from the edge of a ramp or something like that. It lets you go really, really far. This is probably my favorite enhancement in the game. It is really fun trying to keep the momentum up whilst avoiding everything else dotted around the stage. I mean, I'm a Sonic, I play a lot of Sonic games. The speed, keeping the momentum, I like that a lot. This is probably, this is probably my favorite one though. The final enhancement is making the entire level based around the ability, and this comes in the form of flying levels. The flying levels take Spyro's gliding ability and give the player full movement options in the air, of which they must use to like complete specific tasks that I guess are in the flying stages. I mean, it's more like one task, however you have to like take down a specific amount of things in each one. Yeah. Each of these tasks must be completed within a specific time limit. Unless you've completed the stage, then you can go back in and then you get basically a free roam in there, which is really fun as well. This combined with the flight controls, which are fine, however, do make things more difficult purposefully, end up creating a slightly stressful, every now and then can be frustrating, however it is ultimately a fun gameplay loop when flying around. These stages are quite large in scope as well, yet they're generally filled with like narrow, closed-in spaces to keep the challenge up when flying. And I guess scattered around all the stages is a whole bunch of collectibles, including gems, dragons, and eggs. The gems are your basic ones, you simply pick them up and your counter goes up type thing. I think there's like 2,000 in the game overall at the end. Dragons are the main ones, they're the whole reason you have to like go around the world. I haven't really talked about the story, however, Nasty Nork, the main villain, turned all the dragons into gems, I guess, I don't know, crystallize them, and you have to go through and collect them. You have to get a certain amount, then you can unlock the bosses and then go to the next world. And then there's eggs, dragon eggs, which I don't know what they're meant to do. I've got all of them. You simply have to chase around these like runny guys to get them. Yeah, speaking of the stages, however, each one in the game are located throughout one of the 6 hub worlds. These worlds are some of the most fun areas in the entire game. They're usually structured as open areas with stages scattered throughout, and like with normal levels, gems and other collectibles are hidden around them to find. My favourite one of these hub worlds is probably Dreamweavers. It consists of a bunch of floating sky islands, with almost each one of the levels having either a platforming challenge or a small puzzle to get to it. This world is probably the closest one to replicating a proper actual level, with like new ideas located around the area that flow to create a place that is fun to explore. This then sort of leads to the levels that are sort of situated within these hub worlds. There are around 5 levels in each world. This includes the flight and the boss level. Whilst they are set out in an ordered list in the menu, and you can, turns out, fast travel in the menu to ones that you've played. I didn't realize that until I was getting footage and finishing up my achievements, which is, yes. However, yeah, they are in a list in the menu. However, they can be played in any order for the most part. Once again, not including the last world. The last world has 4 levels in total, each having to be played through individually to unlock the next. Once the final boss, Nasty Nork, is defeated, the final level opens up, which is all about collecting treasure. You get the last lot of treasure in there. Spyro is even allowed to semi-freely fly throughout the level. I say semi-freely because you have to like unlock heights, essentially, throughout the level to keep going up further. Yeah, I guess the last thing to discuss is the boss battles, however, and to be completely honest, there's not much to these. They don't really do much, and that includes Nasty Nork, which ends up being a chasing level, which was very disappointing, to be completely honest. I was expecting much more. I think you only hit him twice too, or something like that. I don't know. It was upsetting. Yeah, the bosses don't do much. And in this remake of the game, something called skill points was added to it. I don't believe it was in the first one. I don't know if it was in the second and third one. However, yeah, skill points were added, and this involves simply small challenges the player can do to unlock artwork. Unlike most of the other collectibles, which were simple yet fun to find, the skill points can range in difficulty, at least for me. However, it is nice for a little more challenge to the game, even if there's one like the Do Not Get Electrocuted challenge in the Beastmaker's world, which that can be super frustrating. That was awful. Otherwise, Yeah, once Nasty is defeated and the dragons are mostly saved, at the very least, most of them. I mean, I saved all of them, however, yeah. The game is finished. I had a really good time playing this game on the channel. It's yet another one that I've been wanting to play for ages, and doing it for videos literally is what gave me an excuse to. However, with that, I think I have summed up how I found the game. And yeah, I'm quite excited to play the sequels in the future, and I will be playing those on the channel when I do play them. Therefore, I believe that is all for me. Thank you for watching, and I shall be back in the next one. Cheers, everyone.
I'd say the sky's the limit.